Hi there, welcome to part 4. Whew, this journey is incredible, and what I'm really noticing is how how interesting this all is. And it's been, I think, 3 days since I made the last video, and like seriously, since I made the last video, everything's fucking changed about this. And when I say everything's changed, I was talking about this was a chart, and then it was a wheel, and then it was a flow chart, and then what it's actually become is a deck. And I don't know what I've said in the last video. I literally do not remember anything that I said in the first 3 videos. So I'm going to speak about this from today. And what I see is I had created a deck a while ago, and it's called Spirit Speaks, and it's a beautiful deck. And the purpose of the deck was to pull 5 cards, and there's 5 separate decks in the whole deck. And so when you pull 1 card from each deck, what it actually does is it creates this beautiful message from Spirit. But what it does also is it highlights the habit pattern, like the thought pattern that you're stuck in, and tells you what that's preventing you from, and then gives you a practical action of, hold your heart, feel your emotions, be here in this moment. And then it moves on to this beautiful message from Spirit. And I really, really love that deck. And what I'm seeing now is this is becoming that, but at a different level. This is going to be a deeper level. That is a beautiful message from Spirit, and that has a healing potential to it. But this one is gonna be a lot deeper, and I'm so fucking excited about this. I'm just so excited to get the deck created, to get it out, to get people using it. This is what I'm going to start using during my one-on-one sessions and also during my healing circles. And that's the part that I'm very excited about, because like I've said before, I've broken this down into 8 levels. So this to me is us connecting to 8 parts of our own inner wisdom. You can call them guides, whatever you want to call it. The inner child, the divine masculine and feminine. We've done that already. Last video was connecting to our inner power. Today, what we're going to be doing is connecting to the moment. And so when we connect to these things, and I'm not saying this is an always and a never kind of thing, but what I've done is I've sat down and I've mapped out our emotions. And if we sit with those emotions and face them and express them, what actually happens when we move through that emotion, what we experience on the other side of it. Again, this isn't an always or nothing kind of thing, but this to me is what Spirit is telling us to become aware of, to heal different parts of our trauma. The other day I went to the lake, which was so huge for me. Every time I go to this lake, I get some big, huge download. My life changes literally every time I go to this lake. And yesterday when I was driving, what I heard was, there are 1,012,000,000,000 traces of trauma within us all. And I could be fucking wrong. Like, I'm not here to say that, I'm this guru genius and Spirit tells me this stuff and it's right. But let's just sit with this. These are all hypothetical things, but, so everything that I'm doing is hypothetical, but there's a healing process to it, which is very powerful. So this isn't about me being right. This is about me just sharing what could really help us heal. And if we really sit with this, and what if everybody on the planet does have 1,012,000,000 traces of trauma? Well, it's just a fun title, really. But what if we sit and think about that and really start to see those parts of us that were traumatized at any point in time? I always thought that all of our belief systems were formed by the time we were age 4. Could be true, don't fucking know. But what I do know is some of the most traumatic things that happened in my life happened in my adult life. So I know that I'm carrying trauma from that, but it's not, like I've said before, it's not the trauma that is following us. It's the story that we told ourselves about ourselves or other people or about the world when it was happening. And those things are what I mean when I'm talking about trauma. It's the stories that we believe to be true. Men are bad. Men are assholes. The world is a scary place. I'm not good enough. I am worthless. No one cares about me. These are all things that we carry. And so I got to the beach yesterday and I sat down and I wrote about this woman and this little girl. And I wrote about, this little girl used to sit in her room and listen to everyone in her family having fun at the table, but she was sent to her room because she was arguing with her dad, and you don't argue with the man of the house, right? Like, so much has shifted in my life in the last few days because I believe I was speaking about this in one of the videos about narcissistic people, abusive people, people who have been assholes to us, people that have been assholes to me. And what I'm really seeing is, holy fuck, we've all just been hurt. I don't even know if I like the word traumatized. Hurt, I guess maybe is a better word. We've all been hurt. And we all told our stories about the person that hurt us, the thing that hurt us, or why we're so pathetic that we deserved it, right? So we've all told ourselves these stories. And a lot of people on the planet want to evolve. They want to heal. They want to heal because they want to be kinder people. They want to be happier people. They want to be healthier people. A lot of people want that for themselves. And a lot of people just keep hurting themselves, and a lot of people just keep hurting others. And some do all of it, right? So when I've been talking about the people in my life that have hurt me the most, I'm actually seeing that, wow, they were hurting too because of what happened to them. But the beautiful part of this is, last video we talked about inner power. And when we were connecting to our inner power, we talked a lot about forgiveness and accountability, to be able to see very clearly, you were an asshole. You did this. This was wrong. This wasn't good. Not in a way that we even have to say it to the other person ever, or the world, or the doctors, or whatever it is that's pissed us off or hurt us. Because there's a big part of us that wants justice all the time. Well, I hate to tell you this, but we do not live in a world that is just. I don't think we ever did. I was going to say anymore, but I don't think we ever did. So if we're waiting for people to apologize, make amends, do the right thing, we're going to be fucking sitting here till the cows come home. The point is to be able to see where we fucked up and need to take responsibility and then forgive ourselves, or where someone else is fucked up and they may never take responsibility. We may never even have that conversation with them, but we have to stop pretending that everything's okay. Because if we don't see that what they did hurt us and was wrong, we're carrying it in some way, shape, or form. So that was really huge for me, because I have over forgiven people all the time. It's like, oh, I see the good in everybody, so everybody's doing their best. And I would date a douchey person. They would apologize. Then I would date them again. And then I would, date the same kind of douchey person. And, but I see the beauty. And then when I started writing the book, The Other Side of Fuckery, I started to see, wait a fucking minute. I never once stood up to my ex-husband, never stood up to my dad. And I had to start to see that what they did was not okay. And so I was doing the accountability piece, but this is never about all or none. Like, oh, I did this, so I've healed all of the trauma dealing with my dad. No, that's what I'm talking about, 1,012,000,012 traces of trauma, because there's always more. There's always more, and then there's more, and then there's more. But our job on earth is to free as much of it as we can, because every part of trauma, to me, is a hurt part of us that is stuck in a cage. And what I see I'm creating is a system that can allow us to have a safe place and a powerful way to heal that part of us that was hurt, to hold ourselves. To me, the word heal means hold them, encourage them, accept them, and love them. Well, now our job is to do that with those parts of you that were hurt. And that is what I mean when I'm talking about trauma. Because if you're being triggered, that means that some piece of trauma is being triggered. Meaning it's it's bothering you is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's bothering you. So also, this part of my system that I created is the thought patterns that we get stuck in when we're triggered. And if we don't do something about that, what it actually leads to. Like, when we were talking about the inner child and our relationship with self and our health and our happiness, well, what we do is we judge ourselves, we compare to other people. And when we keep doing that, when we keep getting stuck into those thought patterns, instead of actually sitting with the sadness that can then lead to us moving into the joy, when we feel sad, we start to judge and compare. And when we're doing that, that then leads to depression. That then leads to us pretending everything's okay, which actually can be a lot more harmful than depression, because depression can be treated, or when we are feeling depressed and we see that we're depressed, now everybody understands depression and we can talk about it and we can find help for it. We know that it's coming from within. Something's not right within. But when we're pretending everything's okay, those are the people that do not get help, because they're pretending they're okay all the time. But these are the things that we're doing. So when we're triggered, that means that those core wounds, those belief systems are starting to scream out again. No one cares. I'm worthless. I don't deserve to be loved. I'm not good enough. Right? And so that's when we have the choice, because when we're triggered, it literally feels like we're thrown into a fucking washing machine. So things that trigger me are people yelling, when people start to yell, I'm like, I can't think properly. I just get triggered. It's like I need to fight. I need to run, whatever it is. So we're triggered. And then we start to, like, those voices start to kick in, because if somebody's yelling at us, there's got to be a reason. Oh yeah, right. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. So then we go into those thought loops. We keep believing these things. And then, like I said, it can actually create these things in our lives. Or we can sit, because it creates an emotion too. And our emotions is this, I want to say holy grail, but I don't think that's the proper word to use. It's the clue. It's a clue. As soon as you're triggered, you're going to feel these emotions. And anytime you feel an emotion, other than love, joy, peace, and truth, like those, but if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling worried, all of these things, when you start to feel those things, what that means is pay attention inward now. Pay attention inward now. I can't take credit for that. It's very brilliant. It's Ian Van Zandt that I heard say that. She may not be the first person that said it either, but emotional pain means pay attention inward now, because we then get to be the detective, and we get to ask ourselves, is there actually something that's legit happening right now? Or is something being triggered? Am I believing thoughts that are not true? Thoughts generate our emotions. And like I said, oftentimes there could be things like maybe somebody's, cut you off in traffic, or, somebody in your life is saying something rude or whatever. That is something that could make us angry. Or let's use this as a better example, sadness. Well, your dog runs away and you can't find your dog. Well, of course you're going to be sad. So that's something that legit happened. Of course you're sad. Most of the time, though, it's because you're thinking thoughts that are not true, and those thoughts are generating emotions of sadness. It doesn't matter what the answer is. It doesn't matter if your dog ran away or you're thinking untrue thoughts. The sadness is very real. The chemical reactions that are happening in your body are very real. The sadness is sadness. But the interesting part about this is the solution to deal with that sadness is always going to be the same. It doesn't matter if puppy ran away or you're thinking untrue thoughts about, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be loved, whatever it is. Either way, the answer always is, anytime you're feeling sadness, anger, worried, all of these things, you sit, you put your hand on your heart, you feel it. You feel those emotions, you notice the thoughts, because yes, puppy ran away, but if you just sit with the sadness, eventually you're going to reach the joy that's on the other side. And that's what I'm talking about with this 8-part series that I'm doing, because what I want to talk about is every emotion separately, to talk about what is on the other side of it. And on the other side of sadness usually is some kind of joy, but it's usually once we cry it out. We cry it out, and then we get to the other side, and then we can feel joy again. So the thing is, when something actually happened, we don't want to create a bunch of stories about it. We just want to be in the moment. I'm sad. I am sad. And then we notice the thoughts that show up about the past. Of course this happens because nothing good ever happens to me because I don't deserve it, right? So when something's actually happening, we don't want to bring ourselves back into those thought loops and create more trauma for ourselves. We want to be able to process it. And what this is us being present to it, conscious and aware, and really being in our body with it, because the only way to heal it is to actually feel it. So when we're thinking, the past and the future, about the world, about others, what we're actually doing is we're pulling ourselves out of the moment, and we're putting ourselves back into our brain where we're thinking and worrying, like we're doing all of these things. What we're not doing is feeling, and feeling is the first step to healing. I want to say always, I don't know about that. There could be an exception to the rule, but I haven't seen one yet. So what this means is we are becoming people who are becoming people who can actually heal those wounded parts of us. Those 1,012,000,000,000 traces of trauma, that's our job on this planet, is to heal those. I don't know about the 1,012,000,000. It actually kind of seems a little markety when I just said that again, but the point is, we don't know how much trauma is there, but when you really sit with your life, I invite you to sit down and write out about that little girl and how she was hurt, and that teenage girl who was hurt, and that mom who was hurting when her child was sick, or when her child was crying all the time, or when she had postpartum depression. Write about the mom that used to lose her shit and scream at her kids and sometimes slap them when they didn't deserve it. Write about her being on the floor in fetal position when she was leaving her marriage. These parts of us are hurting, because when we were going through these things, very seldom did we have somebody holding us, encouraging us, accepting us, and loving us. And that is what we're here to do, is learn to do that for ourselves, to be that for ourselves, because then we never need another person. And when we don't need another person, the person who is going to hold us, encourage us, and accept us and love us is going to show up. Probably not just one, many people will show up, but we have to heal ourselves first. Because when we have a ton of these children and teenagers and women in these cages, they're screaming. They're screaming that they don't deserve to be loved. They're screaming that they're worthless. And I don't know how this all works. Am I right? Am I wrong? It doesn't fucking matter. But I really, truly do believe that everything that happens in the world is just matching our vibration. And I never actually saw this before, and I really love this. Is our vibration actually coming from all of those parts of us in cages screaming? For the first fucking time, I feel like that really makes sense to me of what vibration actually is. And so it's subconsciously happening, so we don't know. But how many parts of our trauma have we not healed yet? We don't know that, but the answer is, well, how much shit keeps happening in your life? What keeps showing up? Is it showing up because, and I do believe this, I believe that things happen in our life to trigger the trauma and to wake those parts of us up that have been dormant or that are screaming. And so that we pay attention to it. Like, does life happen to us, for us, so that we can actually heal those parts of us? I believe that's true. I really do believe that's true. I believe that before we came to this planet, our soul wrote our story, and it's like, okay, I want this to happen, and then this can happen, and then this can happen. And I believe that for whatever reason, we chose our destiny. And our job is to continue to hold and encourage and accept and love those parts of us, so that when they feel safe, they will be free, and they no longer will be caged, which means they will no longer be screaming, which means our vibration changes, which means we will no longer attract those situations to our life to heal that part of us, because we've already done it. I really believe this. And like I said, for the first time ever, I'm feeling like life is starting to make sense, like really making sense. So that is what we're doing today, is we're working through our connection to the moment. And I've been talking about the chakras and the meridians, and I'm actually seeing that differently too. I don't feel like this is being mapped according to the chakra, but what I feel is happening is I've placed the chakras, I've placed these emotions and thought patterns according to the chakras, so we actually can use the energy from the chakra, from the endocrine, that correlates with that chakra, and also the energy meridians, in order to heal these parts of us. We're using that energy. I didn't see it like that before. So I'm super excited, because like I said, every time I make a video, it just makes more sense. And like, these healing circles are going to be so powerful, because we're literally going to do 8 sessions that day. 1 session on every part of this. Imagine the trauma that we are going to free that day. And I used to think that healing was such a painful process. It just feels like the deeper I get into this work, the easier it becomes. The more powerful it is, but the simpler it is. Because when we really look at those hurt parts of us that just need to be freed, well, why would we not want to free those parts of us? Like, do you know what I mean? Where before it's like, well, I don't want to trace back to my childhood, and like, it just feels like it's different. And it's not just different for me, it's different for the planet. That's what happens when the consciousness raises on the planet. Did I say that properly? I don't know. But we're collectively becoming more in tune with those parts of us that have been hurt and have not been healed yet, and are still carrying these wounds, and are still believing things like we're worthless and we're not good enough. And it's time. It's time to do this work, because why wouldn't we? Why would we not want to free those parts of us that are suffering? I just feel like, wow, I suddenly, I just like, this has become the most important thing in my life, is to free as many parts of this woman, this girl, this teenager that have been hurt and have not yet heard that you are okay. I love you. You are amazing. You are so worthy of love and success and abundance. You just haven't been told that yet. It's our job to make those, not make, it's our job to do whatever we can in order for those parts of us to believe that they're worthy of love and abundance and freedom. And that's how we step into a beautiful, love-filled future. Not future, because your future is here, right? So anyway, I'm just like, wow, this is just getting so fucking beautiful. So, if you want to pause the video and actually spend some time writing out those parts of you, if like, there could be a lot of things that happened through your life that you don't remember, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we're never going to heal it. I believe that, whatever, I'm not going to get into that, but the things that you remember now are going to be the things that are being triggered and that can be healed at this point. And then next year, more is going to show up, like, right? So don't be too like worried about whatever shows up is what's supposed to show up. So like, whatever you remember about your childhood that was traumatic, times that you were hurt, teenager, woman, mother, wife, whatever it is, just let that be. Don't force it. Just let it show up and write from those spaces so you can introduce yourself to those children, teenagers, women that need you. And they're all within you, right? This is just all really beautiful. So when we're focusing on the heart, so we're focusing on the moment, but the chakra that we're using today is the heart chakra. So when we're talking about the heart chakra, well, we're also talking about the endocrine, the thymus, which works with our immune system. And I also see this as the heart and small intestine meridian, which also showed up when we were talking about the inner child. So it's showing up twice just because it felt right to me. So the heart meridian, the small intestine meridian, that is where we are discerning. That is where we're discerning. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. So what we want to do is connect to the moment. That is what we're connecting with. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to make this so that we can pull cards every day and do a session on ourselves. I'm also going to do it where we're doing the healing circle, where we're always going to do all 8 parts of this. But I also want it set up so that if you're feeling really lonely, you pick the loneliness card and work through that. So that's what this one is today, is loneliness. That is the feeling that we're talking about today. And I have been feeling so lonely this last week, like so incredibly lonely. And so it was so interesting to go to the lake yesterday and really get in touch with, why is the loneliness showing up? What is that telling me? What are we here to do with loneliness? And what healing is available to us when we address it? So what I'm actually going to do first of all is I'm going to pick these cards to show where it's also showing up in our lives, where we're focusing on our healing. So the first card that I'm picking is the pelvis. Okay, so that's where we're focusing on healing. And the next card, we're going to focus on the system that we're dealing with. And that card is the circulatory system. Okay. It's interesting because the circulatory system is the heart. And when you open your heart, you're also opening your pelvis, because your pelvis is the part of you that shuts down. Wait until you hear what the core wound is here. These fucking cards are incredible. I love that whatever we're talking about is the card that shows up. And yeah, I've been doing this for 19 years, but it still always amazes me. So we're opening our heart and opening our pelvis at the same time. So the part of the brain that we're dealing with is called the putamen, and I can't remember if we brought this one up before, but this one deals with long-term habits, movement, regulation, learning and memory, but also how you see yourselves. This is how we see ourselves as people, as humans, as mothers, as partners, but also this has a lot to do with body image and how we see ourselves. It can also be like how we see ourselves in the business world, according to success. So we're looking at all of these different parts. And so I put this into like a flow chart, and I'm gonna make it into cards at some point. They were cards, and now there's more involved in it. So what I came up with is connecting to the moment is going to help us heal the relationship with presence to reach a new level of grounding. So interestingly enough, what showed up is when we get lonely, what's happening is we're not grounded. And so what we want to do is to feel our loneliness. But now I've got it loneliness / insecurity, and I don't know if I'm going to keep that. But when we're feeling lonely, it's because we're insecure. Because when we're healthy and grounded, we don't need another person ever. When I'm in nature, I don't need another person with me. I don't even want another person with me. I'm with the birds. I'm with the trees. I'm with the water. I need nothing when I'm in nature. So that's where we're feeling lonely and insecure. Notice if untrue thoughts, when you're feeling lonely, you feel your loneliness and insecurity. Notice if untrue thoughts are creating it. Allow yourself to be lonely. Stay here in the moment. Move through the loneliness to eventually reach a space of confidence. I love that. I love that showed up, that the other side of loneliness and insecurity is confidence. What a beautiful place to be. I've always wanted to be a confident person, and I lack that in many areas. And I feel like I'm becoming more confident. So the practical action is to notice your thoughts and feel your emotions, which is the same with everything, but I put it here. Also, move your body, because being stagnant is not good for us. When we get up and move, that starts to get everything flowing. That puts us in our bodies where we're conscious and we're feeling. But another one is to spend time in nature, to be here. So that is the story behind loneliness. Now, the backstory: when you feel lonely, ask yourself, is there something that's causing me to feel lonely? Or am I justifying and fighting? So these are the thoughts that show up. We're trying to justify our loneliness. We're fighting our loneliness. We're fighting for another person. So we're justifying or fighting because we believe no one cares. So when you're feeling lonely, either, sometimes you just broke up with someone and you're trying to be in a place where you're okay without that person. So of course the loneliness shows up. But usually what's happening is we're being pulled into this thought process of justifying and fighting, but that's coming from the core wound that no one cares. So believing no one cares can cause you to attack others or shut down. So when you're having a conversation with someone and this is triggered, that's what we do. We either attack other people or we shut down, or we do both. I actually do both sometimes. It can also cause you to be insecure and protect yourself from others or have no boundaries. And I just, these are just really beginning to really flow and make sense. So I invite you to place your hand on your heart and really sit with everything that just showed up. Where do you have no boundaries or thin boundaries? Where do you protect yourself from others or from, stuff, the world, life? So where are you protecting? And where are you having no boundaries? What's the opposite of protection? I'm just seeing a yard that is just so open, but not in a healthy way. Do you know what I mean? You're just opening yourself up to get hurt. I'm saying if you have a yard in town, you're opening yourself up to have intruders, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's really sit with this and practice connecting to the moment. And we do this by feeling. So anytime you're using any of your senses, you're pulling yourself into your body, which means you're conscious and aware, and you are in this moment. So feel every breath moving into and out of your lungs. Okay, so when you're here, you actually begin to notice your emotions and you begin to notice your thoughts, which means you're starting to shine a light on those parts of you that have been hurt, that have not healed. So allow them to show up. Is it children that have been hurt, like you as a child, or you as a teenager, or you as a wife, or you as a mother, or you as a business owner, you as a friend? Whatever it is that's showing up, just allow it to show itself now. And open that cage. And here's another interesting thing. Ooh, I love this. I'm gonna have to really watch this video 3 or 4 times and seriously take notes, because so much is showing up in this. I fucking love it. But man, this is amazing. So when we've been hurt at different times in our lives, if we don't heal that hurt, we then hold it until the time that we heal it. But here's the cool thing. When we become present, this is why people don't want to be present. This is why people numb. This is why people stay busy. They numb by staying busy. They drink. They do whatever it is because they don't want to feel the emotions. They don't want to face it. They do not want to face their lives. They don't want to face their past. They don't want to face the pain. They don't want to face anything. So this is why we all choose a different way to numb. Sex can be a way to numb. Alcohol can be a way to numb. Shopping can be a way to numb. Scrolling can be a way to numb. There are so many. Food can be a way to numb. Exercise can be a way to numb. There are so many different things that we can use so that we don't have to face our trauma. And when I say trauma now, what I see is a bunch of versions of us that have been hurt, stuck in cages. And here's the interesting thing. they're all feeling something different. Because when I said open the cage, I'm like, ooh, wait a minute. Some of them are like really fucking feisty and angry and very abusive. So what I then saw was there are different versions of us in these cages. Some are angry, some are lonely, some are sad, and wouldn't you fucking know it, these are all of the emotions that I've been mapping out. So let's go through this. So I had to create a new chart because everything literally changed. Some parts of us that have been hurt and are not healed yet are sad. And when we free them by leaning in, resting, accomplishing, playing and creating, and connecting to our inner child, that's when we become joyful, because we have freed that sad part of us that was hurt, because we've healed a part of our trauma. Some of them are anxious, and so when we stay open and we begin, we connect to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, we feel safe and loved, and that's when we begin to trust. Some of them are angry, and then we have to express that anger, and we connect to our inner power where we, feel the strength and resilience, but then we feel peaceful because we freed that angry part of us. Some feel lonely, and when we sit with them and we feel that loneliness and we get grounded, connecting to the moment, we feel confidence because she has been freed. Some are feeling guilty, and that's when we connect to our inner truth and we see our value, and we surrender. That part of us heals and we become free. We feel free. That part of us feels free. We worry. Some of them are worried. And then we connect to our intuition, where we start to wonder instead. We love what is, what was, and what shall be, and we become wise when she heals. When that worried part of us, she's worried because something happened to her to make her fucking worry. So when we start to say, okay, I wonder why you're worrying, everything's always worked out, well, then she stops worrying. She's freed. And then we get this wisdom, we gain this wisdom where everything just worked out. So it will work out. There are parts of us that are afraid. And when we connect to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father and we allow ourselves to be held, that's when she heals and we find faith. And there are parts of us that feel ashamed. And so we connect to our soul. And we begin to know that everything is because it is. And then she is freed. And we begin to live. Wow. I don't even have fucking words right now. I don't even have words right now because this is just so incredibly motherfucking powerful. How powerful it is that we can heal those hurt and wounded parts of us in such a beautiful, gentle, and very powerful way by sitting with those versions of us that have been hurt and have not yet been healed. And like I've said so many times before, the word heal to me means hold them, encourage them, accept them, and love them. So we've got the sad parts, we've got the lonely parts, we've got the anxious parts, we've got the worried parts, we've got the guilty parts, the ashamed parts, the lonely parts. I think there's one I'm missing. Angry. Of course we feel that way. because something happened in our lives. Something happened in our lives to teach us to be angry. But that's not true. It's not true that we should be angry at ourselves or others. And what we're here to do is be what we needed. Like, we needed to be held when we were hurt. We needed to be encouraged. We needed to be accepted. And we needed to be loved. And for whatever reason, we were not. For whatever reason, we were not. And that is why we remain angry and lonely and sad and worried, because we have not been taught not to be. And that is what we're here to do, is be in the moment, connect to the moment, become present, so that part of us can show itself. And we can see the sad parts, we can see the lonely parts, we can see the angry parts, we can see the lonely, the guilty, the ashamed parts. And we can sit and we can hold that part of us. We can encourage that part of us. We can accept that part of us. We can love that part of us. And when she believes it, she will become free. And that part of our trauma will have healed. And are there 1,012,000,000 traces of trauma within us? Perhaps. How many have we healed? Don't know. How many do we have yet to heal? Don't know. But that's the purpose of life, is to love all of those parts of you that have been hurt and have not yet been held. Those parts of you that have not yet believed that you are okay and you are loved and you are worthy of love and you deserve to live an abundant, successful, happy life. That is what we're here to do. And suddenly this just became the most important thing in life, because it always has been. We just didn't know it. So become your very best friend. Become your very best cheerleader. Become the person that loves those parts of you. And that is when you will set them free. And that is when you will find these experiences of joy and peace and freedom and confidence. But in order to do that, those parts of you need to heal. And you're the only one that can do it. We look everywhere. We want our parents to do it. We want our loved ones to do it. We want the world to do it. No one can and no one will. You are the only person that can heal yourself. And this is just so incredibly beautiful. So I invite you to place your hand on your heart again. And just see all these versions of you. See the sad parts. See the anxious parts. See the angry parts. See the lonely parts. See those that feel guilty. See those that are worried. See those that are afraid. And see those that are ashamed. And love them all. And imagine yourself just unleashing this love from your heart chakra And just see this love from your heart chakra hugging them all. And not with this intention that you have to heal them because you want to experience joy or whatever's on the other side. Nope. Simply because you love them. You don't know how many are going to heal. You don't know how many are going to believe you. You don't know how many are going to be free. This is why we do it every day, over and over and over. This is why this has become your very, the most important thing in your life, because it is. So you're doing it because you love them, not because you want them to heal in order to get something. Do you know what I'm saying? You want them to feel joy. You want them to trust. You want them to feel peaceful. You want them to feel confident. You want them to feel free. You want them to have wisdom. You want them to find faith. You want them to live. This is what you're doing this for. So spend as much time today and every single day in the moment with all of these parts of you. And really know that they're hurting. And the only way to ever help them is to hold them, encourage them, accept them, and love them, as though they're a child who just fell off their bike, or a child that just lost their very best friend, or an animal, you know. And the angry kids are the ones that, like, I'm just looking at all of these versions of ourselves and how there's no exception, that what they need is to be held, encouraged, accepted, and loved. Suddenly, healing makes sense to me. Suddenly, healing makes sense to me. So sit with that and allow the energy from your heart meridian, from your small intestine meridian, to also do some healing for you. From the thymus, because we're talking about the thymus, which is from the immune system, but we're talking about being able to protect ourselves, or feeling like we need to overprotect ourselves, and also not having healthy boundaries. Well, that's how the immune system functions. And so we're going back to this base blueprint of protection and boundaries. We don't want to be too strong. Like, boundaries are protection, but lack of boundaries, I guess, is what I meant. But this is going back down into the sensual sexual chakra, which brings us to these levels of trust. When you can trust yourself to know who to trust, then you don't need, then we move into the next level, which is the strength and resilience, where we have our inner power. So we know that we can take care of ourselves and stand up for ourselves when needed. And then we can find this space of not needing to be so protective, but also loving ourselves enough to have boundaries. So this is why everything really does build upon itself, or like it builds upon each layer. So just imagine once again the inner child and how their job is to water your health and happiness, like as though we've planted it. And to imagine the Divine Mother and the Divine Father watering your love life and your feeling of safety. And imagine your inner power watering your strength and your resilience. And just imagine you being in the moment is watering your sense of groundedness. Because being grounded is being secure. I might change that wording into security. I think I like that word better. Yep, I do. So when you feel secure, you're confident. Yeah, I like that word better. I'm going to change that one. So you're grounded in the moment, but you're feeling secure. Yeah, I love that. Ground yourself in nature and you will become secure is what we're going to change that to. So sit with this sense of confidence and just know that there are parts of you that heal today. There are lonely parts. There are insecure parts. You know, these parts of you that were attacking or shutting down or justifying or fighting or you know, we're looking at the sense of pride and insecurity, and that's all leading us to feel lonely because we don't know what it feels like to be secure. And when we feel that sense of security, we have a sense of confidence, which again means that we have healthy boundaries, but we don't have to, you know, lock the gate in this state of protection. So breathe that in. Feel that heart energy flowing through your circulatory system and also your pelvis, because that means that you feel safe enough to allow another person in, but you know that you're allowing the right person in the right way. And we're also looking at the Putamen, which is helping us see ourselves differently. Seeing ourselves from this space of security and confidence. So spend as much time in this moment and really integrate this. Spend some time in nature. Really sit and feel your thoughts, feel your emotions, notice your thoughts, move your body, and spend time grounding in nature. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.